live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Nick Strawn.
And this is episode 53. When three different animals become infected with a dangerous pathogen, a primatologist, and a geneticist team up to stop the monsters from destroying Chicago. Rampage. I need to practice.
Put an echo through it and we'll be fine. Everything will be good. So, what'd you think? I got much more.
So I have a lot to say, but I don't know where to start. Go, you start.
Okay. Here's where I'll start. First of all, in general, there was a high level of incompetence in everything that was happening on the screen. However, there was, especially through the first 50% of the film, it was absolutely unwatchable. And it's because it kind of had a serious edge to it, right? In the beginning, it seemed to have a serious edge. There was absolutely no chemistry between anybody.
No well, except for Dwayne Johnson and the
ape.
The ape.
Yeah, well, yeah, but even that was like
George.
That was contrived. The thing is there was no chemistry between anybody in the crew, and then we got to the point where something actually started to happen, and as it did, a couple of characters came in that had a certain amount of chemistry. What is it? His name? Because you're the name guy.
Are you talking about Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
I am.
Mr. Walking Dead, Mr. Mayor Negan, or not, he was Negan.
It was Negan? I
Yeah.
swear.
And he was playing the Negan role, basically.
Yeah, and he had a great and the thing is when you have chemistry that is overcoming horrendous dialogue that is so horrendous, and then you start to think to yourself, wow, at least they've finally got a grasp on that there was some chemistry, and then they started to play into the lines and how bad the lines were, and it actually kind of turned itself around. Plus, at the same time, they introduced two other characters that were so bad at what they were doing that it even it heightened things. They sucked so bad. You know what? There was an amount of suck going on the screen so bad. I kept thinking that if it wasn't for I was in one of those those new vacuum chairs, and I'm leaning back like that, I could have been sucked into the screen.
Kind of like a Nightmare on Elm Street?
Kind of like, you know? See, at least I know how to do that.
So Jeffrey Dean Morgan he's always amazing, and I think he only plays that one character, but he does it well.
No, it was the same character that he plays.
I'd say
all the
Dwayne
time.
Johnson, he was outshined.
He was.
For once.
He was. Well, the thing is I think Dwayne Johnson was up against a horrendous script.
Yeah.
And just the most stilted dialogue.
Well, his acting's a little limited, I would say. I hate to say this, but okay.
No, but wait a minute. Hold on here. He is the most charismatic thing.
But let me say his acting.
Well,
when his friend he thinks his friend is basically, well, let's just say there's a part where somebody dies and he thinks he's dead and he's crying, or he should be crying, and he has this look on his face like, where are my keys? Like that's his upset my friend died face. Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, really, I mean, nobody is going to accuse Dwayne Johnson of being a great actor, but he does.
He does have charisma.
He does
but
have
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Now
his charisma. He's oozing charisma. I think.
I think the two of them actually.
They should do a buddy film.
They should. It would be awesome.
Even a buddy cop film. I don't care.
But who's the pair that was the bad guys in this?
Oh my god!
Oh, those were so bad.
Let's talk about Naomi Harris. I thought she was okay, but I think she was not really right for the role. I have to say, I think she's a decent actress. I don't want to talk about acting too much because I'm not an actor. But
Oh, she was. You know what? She was just boring.
but don't you think she was kind of in the wrong role? Like,
yeah, it was.
I could see her in other movies.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely the wrong role.
And she's
for
a
her.
British actress that's been in a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, but you know,
Skyfall.
her and the other two guys that were supposed to be.
Those guys were. Oh my god,
They were.
So my take on those
they
two,
were like paste.
the guy that was Brett Wyden, the guy that played Jake Lacey. I'm sorry, Jake, but my boss, she likes to play. She likes to say this all the time.
Yes.
So I was supposed to get a spot on the radio.
Oh right.
And I was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was almost up against my deadline.
Uh-huh.
And I was just putting it off. And she walked in the room. And she's like, "Kurt, are you gonna get that spot in? I'm gonna punch you in the throat if you don't." So every time this guy came on the screen, I wanted to punch him in the throat.
Right, but the question is did you want to punch him in the throat because he was the bad guy? No. You wanted to punch him in the throat because you wanted him off the screen.
Because he was bad.
Right, exactly.
Well, they wanted to make him look. I get they wanted to make him look incompetent and kind of stupid because that's the role he was playing. But at the same time,
at the same time.
And then the other girl, his wife, I think it was
his sister.
His sister.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, his sister.
She was.
She actually reminded me of. She was Claire Wyden. The actress's name was Malin.
Every time I see her,
Malin.
I swear. Every time I see her, I just.
Do you know what I thought of when I saw her? Like when she was walking. There's one scene where she's walking to the screen and she's talking, and I was like, "Hi, boys. Are you late? Are you up late and lonely? Give us a call." Those old late nights. That's what she looked like.
Absolutely, exactly. I agree with. Yeah. Just absolutely. You know, it's funny. I kept thinking to myself that there are times when you do a really good job in the background, you know, where the special effects are good or the sets are good and the props are good and the music is good and all the rest of that. And this didn't have any of those problems. I mean, none of that was good. So
the music at the beginning sounded like Psycho.
Hey, did you see the wolf that they just moved it through the screen like that? Oh my God, that was terrible.
It was on a stick.
It was wolf on a stick. It was wolf on a stick. I swear.
But no,
somebody did a digital wolf on a stick.
The creatures, when they weren't doing major action, were actually kind of pretty looking. I thought they did a good job. Like the gorilla.
Really?
The gorilla looked good. I thought
the gorilla looked good. The other two were.
The other two were kind
stupid.
of like
they're overdone.
Godzilla.
They were like
Mothra.
recent Godzilla. You know where how many horns can I put on this thing? Yeah. Right? And like how many
teeth?
How many and then the alligator that threw the spikes?
Yes.
I mean, that was
that was a wolf. The wolf, the
What's
porcupine
that?
Wolf.
Oh, it was the wolf. Oh no, you're right. It was. Oh my gosh, that was terrible.
So
yeah.
And I thought the special effects, if there wasn't any movement, everything was okay. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, like I say,
the helicopter with the wolf jumping on it and swinging back
the
around.
The helicopter, yeah.
It was, and then it hit the cliff. It looked like a plastic model being smashed.
Yeah, and the weird thing is I don't think it was. I think it was digital.
It was digital, but it looked plastic.
Oh man, it was. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Wyoming. This was supposed to be. They said southern Wyoming.
Yeah.
And then they went to Greeley, Colorado. So I grew up in southern Wyoming, and Greeley, Colorado is like 2 hours away from there, and everybody knows where Wyoming is. They were like, "Where's Wyoming? What's up there?" And I'm like, "It's 3 hours away." They've probably been there a few times. Anyway, and then Casper. They're talking about Casper. That's not southern Wyoming. That's in the middle of the state practically, and there's no trees. Oh. It's
okay.
Anyway, so they showed Wyoming, and it was all these trees and mountains, and I'm like, "That's not what Casper looks like."
You're doing a tree geek?
So I want to say people need to.
On me right now?
No, I want to question the fact that.
No, I gotta tell you that.
So you've worked in movies, production movies, right? Don't you do some level of research when you like pick a location and maybe say this is what this place looks like?
Yeah, some level.
I mean, but you want to if you're going to be shooting in the desert, you want it to look like a desert.
Oh well, yeah.
Or if you're shooting in Wyoming where it's a prairie, you probably want to
Well,
have it look like that.
If you're shooting Ohio in the middle of downtown L.A., you're definitely covering up a lot of palm trees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, that's... Yeah.
So I just had issues with... I was obsessed over that.
I don't know if it's research so much as it is just knowing that there are palm trees nowhere else other than Florida. So
right. And then an alligator.
That's about the extent of what a California...
I don't think an alligator would attack something that falls in the water. But
Oh.
I lived in Florida, and I used to do a lot of kayaking.
Wait a minute.
Alligators are afraid of everything.
There was acres and acres of horrible exposition in this thing that told you
too much. They had to say the lines.
Told you
I felt like they were making.
They didn't let anybody. They didn't visually let anybody find anything about. They just told you in
everything.
In just like
there was one line. Dwayne Johnson had a line.
Dialogue on it.
So I felt like they were saying I was stupid because I was sitting there and they had to explain everything to me like I was a little kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's one line where they go in and there's laptop's gone and he's like, the FBI must have confiscated the laptop. I'm like, I already made that connection. Like, why do you have to explain it to me?
Yeah, but that was minor exposition.
There was a lot of exposition.
And the thing is the exposition was they're supposed to be these are supposed to be professionals that are talking to each other, and the exposition was absolutely on the 5th grade school level. Absolutely, right. I mean, it was the worst.
So I feel bad for Rock, for The Rock and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm sorry, but it made them look really good, though.
But here's the thing. The thing is to a certain extent, and I'm just saying a little bit, it actually achieved what it wanted to, because it you know what it reminded me is of like Towering Inferno or something like that from the 70s and 80s.
It did have a King Kong 80s feel to it, like
right, exactly, because everything pretty much sucked, and
there was even a Jessica Lange scene. Gone wrong.
There was, yeah, there was. Oh, definitely, yeah. Why all of a sudden did that thing want to eat her? I didn't. See, that's the thing. Is
spoiler?
Was there any point anywhere along there that thought that thing just reached down and grabbed somebody and ate them? No, right?
Well, she looked like a piece of licorice in that red dress.
Well, yeah. So you have a vegetarian.
Yes.
Right. And he had never eaten anything before like that, and all of a sudden you put your whole plan into picking her up and eating her.
Okay,
right?
A piece of rhubarb.
Yeah, that's what the red dress was for, right? Right. Absolutely. I was like,
so I have a question. This might be going too far about how I feel about this movie. But when a movie the bed, who changes the sheets?
Well,
that was one of the best lines in there. Was Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, he didn't say
there were a couple. You know what?
Different.
The funny thing about it is you had to think to yourself that that his dialogue had to be written by somebody else who was not writing the rest of the film, right?
Yes.
Because really they were so outlandish and so far out there. You know, you had to think. He either wrote the stuff himself, or they had another writer come in.
Or could he have been improvising some of it? I don't know. I mean,
on this film, improvising?
Maybe not, because they had a lot of exposition, like you said. So it was carefully planned out.
Some pretty.
What was with the camera on The Rock when he's in a parachute and they go to this horrible GoPro camera and it looked very bad? Like it didn't look like his face. The resolution was bad. And
it looked like a rubber mask on some.
No, it was him. I think it was just that's how bad the camera was.
That's what I mean. It still looked like a rubber mask.
But so I didn't get that. I mean, why wouldn't you use a decent camera? And you can see anything behind him.
If all you're going to do is complain,
that's all I'm going to do.
Well,
I can't read my handwriting, because otherwise I'd say more. So there was one shot I liked, the Jeep flying by the helicopter. That was kind of cool. That's the only thing I really.
Jeep flying past.
There was a point where it was like a Humvee, I think it was, flying by.
Oh, okay.
Like, that was kind of nice. And then there was a couple quick. At the beginning, there was some quick jump scare kind of things going on here and there that were kind of cool. Yeah. Like on the space station, where you see something go by.
Oh, you know what? the space station was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the.
So I think it started out. It had promise.
No, it did have promise. Those were the best effects in the whole movie. That's for sure. And I mean, by a mile.
Yeah.
By a mile.
Well, I went into this movie being not really expecting anything. I thought it was gonna be horrible, and then I see this scene, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is gonna be okay. And then,
you actually had a look on your face through most of that, like you had wet yourself.
Well, actually, I did.
Or somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about the reason why this movie exists. There's a game I used to play called Rampage, and you could choose 3 characters, and I remember the gorilla. You could choose the alligator, or not the alligator, but reptile-looking thing.
How come there was no tie-in to the?
I don't know.
Because really, if I had known that it was from a game, and in showing me the game, I looked at the characters and I thought, well, yeah, of course. I mean, that would have like set my mind would have been going in the right direction.
Yes.
You see?
The video game, if I remember it right, I think you're trying to destroy buildings and you have all these like military vehicles attacking you.
And that isn't what happened here?
It was.
Exactly what happened.
But it was like a little how much of the movie was that? You know what I mean? Like it was like the final.
Well, yes, but it was everything that the movie was supposed to be heading
building
for
up
after
to
the
that.
first half an hour.
So this is like the prequel to
Rampage. Well, the funny thing is that if I had known that it was from a video game, I think that I would have seen it in a different light.
What's that tower called now? I know it's changed names because I still think of it as the Sears Tower.
Chicago,
okay.
Oh, the Willows Tower.
So this was at what I know is the Sears Tower, and I haven't caught up to modern day apparently because it's a Willis Tower now.
And who's Willis?
Some important character.
What you talking about?
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis? Yeah.
So let me see. I have one more page of notes. Maybe there's something really good here.
Keep going. See if you got anything. I mean, I didn't take notes. You're the one that writes in the dark, and I.
See, this is a spoiler.
No, don't do the spoiler because I couldn't figure it out. You know what? You cannot apply logic to this film. You have to let.
Okay.
And can I just say, you can't apply logic to this film. It should have been funnier.
Yeah. It was funny for the wrong reasons for me. I mean, you saw me laughing during some of the really violent scenes.
Right. Yeah, but they were terrible.
But I was the only one in the theater cracking up, and I was
right.
like...
and you were crying, and that was pretty funny. But the thing is I think that it could have gone a little further. It could have put some more dialogue into between those two guys, or between some character that had a witty repartee other than Negron.
Yeah.
And I think that it would have been.
Well, they crowbarred
because that's what they were trying to do.
They crowbarred a little romance in there, and I was like,
not much.
No, it didn't really work for me.
Yeah,
but okay. I think The Rock. This is just a side note. I think The
like
Rock is kind of the modern day Charlton Heston, because he's doing like disaster movies. He's doing it's
it is.
I feel like he should be in Planet of the Apes.
Exactly.
But no, he's
who was the ape? And it wasn't Andy Serkis, was it? No.
Okay, Jason Lyles.
Jason Lyles.
Well,
George. Yeah.
See, George was a pretty guy. He was a pretty ape.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to do a shout out to Jen Eden. She's the production assistant, and I don't know her personally.
Right.
I just thought it was a cool name. And then Tony's Food Service did the catering on this one. Oh my God. Tony's Food Service.
Tony's used to be everywhere. It's still out.
Is it really?
Really still out?
Yeah, I guess so.
How is it spelled?
Tony.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Surprise. So, how do you feel about Brad Payton as a director? Is he going to do?
I think that he needs to find a direction and stick to it. I don't think that.
He did San Andreas, right?
I don't. Yep. Yeah, and you know what? San Andreas had a lot of the same problem. San Andreas was a pure adventure all the way through, and this one was. If it was a pure adventure, then it was a pretty good comedy. You know?
Right, exactly. I'm gonna have to check out Frontier, because isn't that the guy that played Aquaman? Or
When you go into a film and you're so locked into one person and you're just using that one person.
yeah, I was asking myself at the beginning. I said, can The Rock carry this whole film on his shoulders?
Right, exactly. And the thing is there are a lot of films that he's paired with a lot of better not better actors, but much better than what you had here.
Well, like Jumanji is a good example. Even though it's comedy and kind of different.
Well, you know what?
Adventure comedy.
There is something that I did want to talk about just in general is the difference between Jumanji and this is it's amazing because Jumanji it had the comedy, it had adventure, and this but what it had also is it also had the rest of the cast. And this didn't have the rest of that cast. It fell off completely. It didn't even have anybody. It's why just having Negron in there for what was obviously Negan, which was obviously like 3 or 4 days of shooting.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure there was
there wasn't much chemistry with him and the girl either. I mean, it was like it's like he wanted it to be there,
but that's what I'm saying is there was no chemistry between him and the girl at all. I mean, there was chemistry between him and Negron, and we just didn't see enough of that.
So you're saying Negan, the guy that we're calling Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
Jeffrey
he should have switched places with the girl,
right?
And they could have. Yeah, they could have had a romance too. Why not? With The Rock and him.
Why not?
No, but anyway.
You know what? You might as well be modern about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would have been kind of interesting.
It would have been kind of interesting. It would have been more interesting than what they gave us.
So, yeah, well, that's it.
I get a strange feeling that I probably like this film a little bit better than you did.
Probably, because, I mean, makeup effects weren't even as good as Teen Wolf. I mean... See, this wasn't makeup effect movie, so I can't really use that.
Yeah,
because it was digital. It was all digital.
It was all digital. Yeah. So well, that's what I'm saying is you didn't have.
How many wolf quills would you give us?
Would I shoot this one? I would give it a 2.7.
So I had to let you go first because I wanted to see it.
Yeah,
no,
you did.
Seriously, I would give it like a 2.
Yeah.
2 out of 5. Yeah.
You know, it's worth it just to see if you have a movie pass.
Yes.
And if you have a movie pass, it's worth it just to see him
or catch it on Netflix when it comes out. Or
to see him and
I wouldn't pay much for this one though. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I just
not even a matinee.
If you don't have a movie pass, see it on Tuesday. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah.
And if you want to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan at his best, just watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah, watch The Walking Dead.
That's all you gotta do. Because he's awesome on there. But
well, see now in The Walking Dead, there's another case of where he has crew that he has chemistry. Mm-hmm. He has his crew in the.
They're film. Also. Again, I hate to trash actors all the time, but
right.
he's with a group of people that can act really well.
Well, but that's what I mean. I mean he has a crew with him that and
they're kind of in a groove because it's
and you know and they got Kurtzman K&B doing the effects, so you know he's Kurtzman, who was a makeup man for many years, is the creator of that show.
Oh.
And I've dealt with Kurtzman. I got a little story about that.
Awesome.
I don't know if I've ever told this before.
Story time. It's story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick.
I was in New Zealand one time, and Kurtzman's company K&B was doing the actual monster effects, the practical effects, and now we had this new thing, this digital effects that we were working in. But we were also working with a lot of, we were doing it as many Stone Age style effects back from the old days. I mean, we did a great mixture, but a lot of them didn't seem to go together all that well. And we went and I went to Wellington from Auckland. Wellington is down right on the tip of the coast, and there's a place down there where people like to gather and watch the airplanes come over because Wellington is a deep cove, right? And in this deep cove, they've managed to, like, on a spit out into the ocean, they've managed to put a runway.
Oh, wow.
And here's the thing, is you have to come in over the edge of that cliff while coming down in order to drop into Wellington. So it is a gut churner. I mean, you just literally, it's free fall from, think of doing a free fall from 5,000 feet and just dropping right onto the runway. Your stomach just is, oh. But what's great is that there's a little park right on the edge of the hill where the planes come over. You can just see the edge of the plane. You can see the edge of the tail of the plane just barely miss that edge, and then see the plane go down and land. And I was sitting there with Peter Jackson and the guys from K&B and Richard, I can't think of his last name, but the guy who runs Weta, who was that was Peter Jackson's company that did that they were just starting to do computerized effects. And so we were sitting there trying to work out who was going to do what and try and get all of them to align their looks better, because we were having a lot of trouble with that, with the effects not jiving, the practical effects not jiving with the Weta effects, and the Weta effects not. And Peter Jackson was, trying to help us pull all this together, and we happened to meet up on the edge of this cliff and watch the planes go over, which was absolutely terrifying. I have to tell you, right. It was just to see them drop right past you, and to be just hearing the roar of the plane come over, and then all of a sudden you're looking over it as, right. As it's still falling down and going in, just splattering on that runway and on out. And so then, we then went from there to have lunch, and we went to a cafe in the middle of Wellington, Wellington, New Zealand. Not California, definitely not California. Wellington, New Zealand, where they serve you 1/4-inch slices of white bread with 1/4-inch of cold butter on it.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's scary.
Isn't that a boot, Wellington?
What?
Isn't that what they call boots in
England?
Yes. Wellington?
Exactly. I used to have several pairs of Wellingtons when I was working in Alaska. But so we're all of us now, me and the makeup, Peter Jackson, the makeup effects guys, and all of us are sitting at this table, and we're having, what naturally happens is you start talking about films that you've done, and being as we were all effects people of one sort or another, we got to talking about about the shot in The Omen. No, not The Omen, The Exorcist. In The Exorcist, where the girl goes all the way around. Her head goes all the way around, right?
Her head turns around.
Now, here's the thing. That's become a standard in the industry, but everybody does it different. I mean, you can do it with cuts. You can do it with a fake head.
I would use an owl.
You can do it with an owl if you get good makeup effects and make an owl look like a human. There are so many different ways to do it, and the hilarious thing is we all had done it before in one way or the other. Everybody sitting at this table had done it, and we got to talking about all the different ways that we had done it and cracking up. And we're sitting in the center of the cafe, and all of a sudden, like, I guess it's ethereal Mick breaks away from my body and just kind of floats up to the corner of this shop and looks down on us talking about this stuff, and the mixture of horrified looks, it was a mixture. It was like there were horrified looks around the room, and there were real curious looks around the room, and there were trying to ignore us, but not, being able to, looks around the room, and it was like an event for all of these people. It was the weirdest thing to talk about, and I had to think to myself, what did those people?
It sounds like you're describing a car wreck, because some people look away.
Yeah,
some people
exactly.
are curious.
Well, that's exactly
some
what
people
it
are
was.
appalled by it.
I will, to the day that I die, I'm going to remember thinking, being there at that table, and and thinking of what this all looked like, and the thing is there was a lot of this that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and describe what I'm doing here.
Right. Yeah, he's trying to twist his head around.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
only made it halfway.
All of us were doing it at some point.
Well, what a crowd, though. I mean, that sounds like a really interesting conversation. I wish I was there.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying is once I stepped out of it, I had to think to myself, well, that we might have started a couple of kids on their way to working in the movies. You never know. So. Yeah, and by the way, kids, if you ever get a chance, you should see a kids show called Meet the Feebles.
Oh yeah.
It's a great little Muppet-like movie. A lot of puppets. How can puppets possibly go wrong? Meet the Feebles. Don't let your children see it. Really, seriously, it's okay. It's definitely an R or X rated version of the Muppets. It's a Peter Jackson film.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
But maybe I should see it.
Oh my gosh. We have to do a review of Meet the Feebles.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Okay. As a classic of all time, it is one of my favorites. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen the Strung Out Junkie crew member. It was great.
So speaking of that, of things that are coming up.
Oh, right.
We're gonna do finally. This is finally we're gonna talk about Leatherface.
No, that's right.
The one that you did.
Yeah, the one that I did.
And then the following week
is coming out.
We're going to do the new Leatherface.
The new Leatherface.
And see what we think of that one.
Yeah. I think I already know what I think about that one. But.
And then next month, Mantis.
Next month.
What do you think? Should we do Mantis next month?
I love it. You know what? I should see if I can get a hold of anybody else that worked on it.
Right. I mean, I know we have some good stuff coming up as far as interviews, but we're not going to talk about it right now.
Yeah, we're not. But boy, we're going to do a lot of interviews this year, and they're going to be really amazing.
So how's your book going? Do you have anything that's coming up on that?
I have done somewhere north of 20 interviews. Wow. Now, I had my parts that I wrote about the book, but I thought that I had, and it's weird is how things expand. No matter what happens, everything expands, right? And so I have been getting into everybody else's, because Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was such a huge film. Right, I mean, the making of it
is.
but I mean, the making of it was really big. I mean, it involved all of LA, and heavily manipulated dreamscapes were created all over the place.
Well, a bigger budget than 3 for sure, right?
Right, a bigger budget than 3, but also, probably one of the biggest budget and most manipulated horror films of the time ever. I mean, up to that point,
even more than Teen Wolf.
Even you and Teen Wolf, man, I cannot understand that. Yeah, no, but the thing is so I've been on a quest for the last month, trying to interview people. I'm at 20. I've already interviewed all kinds of effects people, Screaming Mad George, Peter Chesney, who did the mechanical effects. I'm going to be talking to Kevin Yeager. I've also talked to Tuesday Night, I've talked to Danny Hassel, Andres Jones. I'm going to be talking to Lisa Wilcox.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Tell me. Go ahead and tell me again, Beans. Is my brain has just Bob Shea. I talked to Bob Shea.
How could you forget Bob Shea?
I know. I talked to Bob Shea and just I talked to Jack Shoulder. He did. He was the director of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and he was also somebody who had a lot of experience with New Line Cinema and was there. And we stood on the shoulders of Jack Shoulder, and.
Oh boy. Is there anybody that you've been wanting to talk to that hasn't reached out yet, or that you haven't found?
I have not been able to connect yet with Freddie.
That's a very leading question, obviously.
Or Rennie Harlan. Fred, I think that Robert England, I'm going to get to talk to next week. I don't know about Rennie Harlan. He's in China right now, and he is a big movie. Can't get this. Rennie Harlan, the director of that, has decided to swear off of American films and has packed up and is making films in China now.
Wow.
Big films. He just had a really huge film come out in China. And so he's a successful Chinese director.
Wow.
Like, who knew?
That's amazing.
So anyway, I'm still trying to get a hold of him. I've Rachel Talalay is going to write the opening of the book.
Cool. Right.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Yeah.
Cool.
So there's that, and I think our work here is
absolutely, yeah.
done.
I think we're going to do a Netflix movie next, which I'm not very excited about.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. That's right.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Okay.
All right.
You have a nice night.
Yes. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Or next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
For
The Titan.
The Titan.
Netflix. The Titan.
That's right. Oh God.
But then Leatherface will be next.
But then Leatherface, there you go.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Let's
go watch The Titan.
Let's go watch Titans. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Dream Warrior Review. As always, you can reach us at Gmail at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at DWR Review, and of course, we're on Facebook. Until next time.